When I come to the mart, I was 75 years old. At the time, I hadn't expected to go back to work, but you know, I'd owned some Enron, and well, spent a little more than I should. And Betty died. My neighbor Fred, he said, well, you gotta go to work at the mart, he said. It ain't hard, get you out of the house. So I went down there and I told him I didn't want no indoor job. I didn't want nothing to do with being no toothless greeter, you know. Smiling and putting stickers on things. No, I wanted to be outside. Yeah. I didn't mind, you know, I didn't care about the weather at all. I wanted to be the cart wrangler. Well, management didn't think I'd be able to keep up. What was there to keep up with? I can push a shopping cart, you know. I can push a row of shopping carts just as good as any kid can. Matter of fact, I taught those high school kids a few tricks, yeah, how to balance a cart going around the corner, how to make sure a bent basket didn't get caught in the middle of a row, you know, how to bend back a bent wheel. Do it my way, well, you'd have more time for a smoke. Out of the corner of my eye, even on that very first day, there was one cart that wasn't nestled in with the rest. Now, you chase it down, and you'd roll it on over, and you'd line it up, and, well, next thing you know, that cart would be a little ways off. It'd be sitting off next to the drinking fountain, you know. And the next time you looked, well, it'd be out in the parking lot, squeezed between a minivan and an SUV. Cart 437. Didn't take me long to get a little bit of a reputation around the mart. I was the guy who'd always go way out of his way to get the fat last cart, you know. Most mart employees, well, they wouldn't bother with that. They just wanted to go home and they wanted to get their ears pierced or their butts tattooed, I don't know. But there was a cart out there. I was gonna go and I was gonna bring it in. I'd be the guy who'd push 2 or 3 of those wayward carts back across the path, the dirt path of that vacant lot out there, next to Kentucky Fried. Yeah. Their little wheels were catching and they were dragging, and I'd be the one to bother to check out by the dumpsters. I'd be the guy who'd hike out to the last light pole and make sure that none of them carts was missing. Well, you know, more often than not, I'd find cart 437 out by the last curve, by the stop sign, facing west, right toward the interstate. Well, come on, 437, I'd say, come on. And I'd gently pull and turn her around, and I'd push her back across the lot, and a parker squeezed in the middle of a row, you know, between a number of sleeping cars. That ought to keep you out of trouble, I'd say. Well, the next morning, cart 437 would be out by the garden shop, next to plastic wheelbarrow, facing west. Well, Dell, the assistant night manager, they're always called Dell, you know. Well, Dell said he'd been watching me, and he liked my work, and I could look forward to a 5-cent an hour raise in about 6 months. Well, that's 40 cents over an 8-hour day. It's not bad. 1932. course, the Mart never hardly had to hand out them big raises. Most cart wranglers only last 2 or 3 months, at the most. For me, it wasn't about the money. I was prepared to hang on as long as necessary. In the spring, I caught up with cart 437 over by the Hy-Vee grocery store. Our parking lot connected up with theirs, and a number of our carts were pushed into the drainage ditch and shoved into the bushes along the side of the road. Well, I found out that the bag boys and some of the produce kids from Hy-Vee over there, they were joyriding our carts. They were abusing them. I went over there on my own time. I didn't care if I got paid. I didn't want to make a fuss, Well, me and the manager of Hy-Vee, we had words. He said, well, you didn't think there was any big deal. Kids playing with the Mart's carts, the boys will be boys, and they didn't mean nothing by it. Well, I said, rustling is rustling. You already seen it. What was he gonna do about it? And he shrugged his shoulders. He smirked. Looked like Carl Rove, that Michael Cohen guy. It's from a long line of smirkers out there. Well, I'm not a violent man, but I pulled out the pellet gun I got out of Sporting Goods and shot the Coke machine right next to him. Just to prove a point. A few nights later, I was bringing in a long line of carts from pharmacy entrance. And Dell, if they aren't named Dell, they're named Don. He said, could he have a word with me? And I said, well, I'm busy, and what did he need? And he said, well, he wanted to give me a piece of advice. So, this pasty, overweight, 28-year-old, balding child with a logo of a 2-bit rock band on his arm. Well, he said he was going to give me some advice. Don't take this job so serious, he said. I said, mister, I take everything serious. I was thinking about cart 437. It rolled somehow uphill, around the corner, across the street from the south exit. And, well, that's a quarter of a mile or more. Didn't take a brain surgeon to figure cart 437 was thinking about making a break. Well, Dell said he thought it might rain, and did I know there was an opening for greeters. And I said I didn't know nothing about that. Went back to the seasonal department. I grabbed a banana and a raincoat, and I started to head on out. I held up once again by Dell. He asked me if I knew anything about a goddamn Coke machine with a bullet in it. I said I didn't know nothing about it. And then he made me sweep aisle 9. Then I went out after cart 437. Well, it's been 6 days. I finally caught up with 437 at a gas and go next to a strip mall a little west of Easton. Now, at first I thought 437 must have got out on the highway somehow, rolling along in the emergency lanes, but no, it couldn't do that. I realized that the parking lot is like an unbroken inland sea. From the Mart to the malls, onto the mega malls, spreading like fjords to the strip malls all across the plains. Man, you get anywhere you want to go by going nowhere. Yeah. Well, I lean on somebody's Ford just for a minute, light up a Marlboro, flick the match and an oil stain at my feet. I figure this parking lot might just go all the way around the world. Yeah. I got cart 437 loaded up, Little Debbie's, beer, got an extra shirt. I figure we're going to have to return to the mart eventually, but hell, it's a cloudless day. We might as well just take the long way around. Now that's what happened first. Yep, that's what happened. This is what's going to happen second. We call this Cart 437 2.0. The continuing story of a man and his shopping cart. It's been 4 years since I chased Cart 437 across the Mart parking lot, caught up with it, bought a few beers and 12-pack of Little Debbie snack cakes. I really love them. and then we headed out west. I planned on heading back to the Mart, well, eventually. And we just decided that we'd take that long way around. Well, I've been a cart wrangler for the Mart, you know. I guess I still am. I'm sort of on sabbatical. I still get the employee newspaper. Yeah, I enjoy the celebrity crossword puzzles and and the safety tips. Wash your hands, be clean, it's the law. No problemo. Be tidy. Well, that's a good thing to be, tidy. I can be tidy. Report the suspicious? Well, there's always something suspicious going on at the Mart. I'll do what I can for you. And be prompt. Well, if it's a choice between showing up on time and getting the job done, I guess I'm going to get the job done, no matter how much time it takes me. I worked overtime sometimes. I gave the Mart a few of my own hours just to keep things tidy. I like getting all them shopping carts in a row, bashing them, rolling them, getting them lined up for customers on the back end of another 24/7. But, yeah, you already know what happened. Car 437 didn't line up like the other carts. It always rolled in a different direction. You turn ahead for a second, it'll be around the corner. Roll out of sight. One day, car 437 just broke away, crossed the frontage road, crossed against the light. Just wanted to see what was on the other side. Well, I felt the same way. And here we are. Now, unfortunately, we are being followed. The Mart boys. Well, you know the Mart boys. They have badges. They're trained in security. That's right there. We're only 2 days ahead of them. After all this time, only 2 days. The Mart boys like to say that they are Mart men, but they're not men. They're boys. They don't know nothing of the world. They don't know how life goes on out here in the desert that is referred to on the Google Maps as the Great Parking Lot. Oh, it stretches on. We have to lose those boys. So we have to head out to the outer lot. Outer lot, that's cross between the Badlands and long-term parking. Yeah, we are. They say very few souls can return from out there. You can lose your sense of direction, lose your sense of hope, forget your keys, forget your kids. It's a land of potholes out there. That'll give those boys something to think about. Holes that are a foot deep, some 4 foot wide, some maybe 1,000 feet across, 10,000 feet deep. You fall in, you may never come back up. And who'd look for you anyway? It takes a little while to get used to things out here. You don't just push your cart out into the unknown, you know, not at first, not right away. Well, nobody does that. You stick close to the known. You stick to the curbs. You hug them. I met some curb followers once. They're a cult. They're a little cult. They walk single file on one foot on the curb, you know, the other foot in the gutter. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Why, the procession looks like a drunken centipede. But they follow the curves, in and around the fake lakes, the retention ponds, tracing cul-de-sacs, looping around bus stops and left turn only lanes, past middle school afternoon pickup lanes, and no standing areas. It's like following a shoreline, like following fractals. Well, I gotta tell you, the average curb to me is your everyday garden variety strolling path. That's all. You follow an average curb, and you'll only be led on a big, long, higgledy-piggledy, cha-cha roomboat right back to the mart. But there are a few curbs out there that don't buckle around. They simply come to an end. They stop. Maybe you turn around and go back the way you came. Maybe you shrug. You look both ways. You take one last breath. Step off. That's what we did. Stepped off into parking lot incognito, like sailing on a giant sea. Well, it's about 6 weeks, maybe 10 weeks from the end of the curbs. We found an old abandoned strip mall. We lived in it for close to 2 years. Lived in a radio shack for a while. Plenty of room in there. Nothing in it. And then we rolled next door to a furniture store so we could sleep on a different couch every night for a whole month. We told the passers-by that the strip mall was haunted, just to keep them away. And then we found the strip mall was haunted, so we just moved right on. Ran supplies to the Cloverleaf people. A little while we did that to the Cloverleaf people and the people who live on the green median strips and in the lost spaces, pinched between the interstate exit ramps and the entryways, you know. They hide behind bushes and they steal hubcaps, and you rarely see them. They're nocturnal. They live off what the rush of traffic leaves behind, the beer, energy drinks, and Little Debbie's, yeah. Ooh, they have not a bad life, you know. They said, come on, live with us. But they're pretty people, you know, and my gosh, they're easygoing, and the women, well, I was sorely tempted, but too much mud, too much gravel. It's no good for a man and his cart. You can't barely move at all. You need a smooth road, smooth surface for a cart. It's got to be smooth. And heaven help you if your cart throws a wheel way out here. Now, I thought about that. What would I do if this cart broke down to 3 or even 2 wheels? Would I have the guts? Would I have the heart? Would I have the humility and the humanity to put the cart out of its misery? Cloverleaf people looked out over their shoulders and said, "Did you know you were being followed?" I said, "Yes, I did. Damn marked stormtroopers anyway." I asked, did they know they had a traitor in their midst to look like I'd been sold out? And they said, "Oh yeah, marked boys, they bought off one of our own." "What'd they get?" I asked. "A coupon," they said. A buy one, free one coupon. That was it. The trade for a coupon, half price. We moved on. And here we are, in the middle of the largest, most vast, most unexplored parking lot in the world. No curbs, no signs, no turning back. The Mark boys are getting close. I can smell them. I can smell their aftershave. We roll by a few abandoned shopping carts. They're pointed in no particular direction. You know, most carts show very little interest in other carts. But we watch them just to see what they'll do. Sometimes, 50 or more of them, they'll all of a sudden pull together in a pack and flow across the lot like geese or wildebeests. And we pause to eye a tragic sight. There's been a standoff between 2 alpha carts, 2 bull carts. And they faced off and they stared at each other for days, maybe weeks, And then the 2 slammed together, bam! And then they slammed together again, bam, bam! And they kept on slamming until they got stuck. Like antelope bucks with their antlers. They just banged their baskets together and they got all stuck facing each other, basket on basket. It'll rain. Other carts will move on. Them 2 bull carts, they're gonna sit there facing each other, entangled with their bent metal baskets, locked together forever, just staring at each other. They'll finally die of uselessness. But we all die of uselessness. So we move on. Noise comes up from behind us. There's a big hubbub. Them Mark boys, they're here. 60 of them. Oh, maybe 100. All with green vests, all prematurely bald. All with ill-fitting tan pants. It ain't a pretty sight. No women amongst them. If evolution had any sense, the subspecies of Mark boys would go extinct inside a week. Now, if you were trying to pull the bull carts apart, they gathered up a good 75 stray carts, and they lined them up side by side. It's gonna be a flat-out Napoleonic charge. Oh, they're cheating. They brought along one of them motorized cart pusher machines with a little skinny red light on a pole. Well, we faced the horde. For the first time, I noticed that car 437 has a chip out of one of its plastic rubber wheels. It's been limping, and it's shaking a little. Well, I am too. Still, we stand our ground. We're about 150 yards away from the Mark boys' line. There's no wind, there's no shadows. It's noon. A mid-management Mark boy calls. "All's we want is the cart. You can go, mister." Well, I shout back, "We a package deal. And he says, so be it. And here they come, pushing their carts as hard as they can. The noise, and the yells, the squealing wheels, deafening. The line approaching faster and faster begins to waver and wiggle. It's hard to push a cart straight while trying to hold on your tan pants at the same time. Some of them cars bash into each other, some roll fast and full, and they keep on coming, and we stay put. Getting closer and closer, 75 yards, 50, oh my, 30 yards. We don't back away, never back away, and suddenly there's an ungodly shaking and screeching noise, dust and thunder. Dirt rains down upon us as the parking lot cracks and splinters times. You know, biblically, like that. Splits just like a pair of tan sheets. And it's 1,000 foot wide, 1,000 foot deep pothole. Soon, just appears. And soon, every one of those marked boys and their marked carts spill into the giant chasm like living. Well, it's 12:05. Just past noon. Wind is dying down now. Dust is settled. The hole's still there, and I imagine it'll get filled up with something. Now, I'm not sure what we're going to do with the rest of the day. We need a few provisions. Wild carrots that grow in the cracks in the pavement. There's always beers and snacks falling off the backs of trucks somewhere. I guess we'll keep heading into the interior. Or is it the exterior? No. Who knows? I know we're not worried. The great parking lot is like a desert. Like a desert, it is alive. We'll be fine. Me and car 437. I should introduce the band here, the Third Mind combo. Dwight Frizzell right here. Patrick Conway. Julia Throw. Yeah. You know, I'll tell you a little story. I heard these guys playing at a strip club. At a, strip mall. Out on the, you guessed it, out on the strip, yeah. I said, why don't you come along? So they come along with their own carts. They got a lot of stuff, carrying their carts, a lot of stuff, all kinds of stuff. Music don't travel light, you can see that. Well, ever since they witnessed that giant pothole, they like to follow at a safe distance. It's better for all of us all the way around. Well, so now, if you'll indulge us just a little further, we're going to present the third part of the old Cart Wrangler saga. Cart 437 3.0. Potemkin. Well, it's another morning out here on the lot, the great parking lot. It's like the Great Lakes, like the great inland sea. Parking lot is spread out across the known and most of the unknown worlds. Why, there's an IKEA parking lot out there that takes up the better part of 2 states. Took 2 months to cross that one. Barren as the Badlands. Well, we come up over a rise, me and Cart 437. Last night we slept on a weeded median strip, a couple of miles outside of a big box store. I can't say which box. Can't really say how big. So big, I say, and I say it to myself like you'd say it to a little kid, bouncing on your knee. How big? So big. Cart 437 been pushing lately. Yeah, pushing hard, like it needs to get somewhere. Rolling. Rolling, getting a running start downhill to roll back up the other side. Going as fast as it can. Bouncing over the cracks in the concrete. Ooh. Well, it's been 6 pretty eventful, pretty okay years since I followed Cart 437 off the Mart lot, under a bridge, and then under an underpass, across the highway. Took a right from a left-hand only turn lane, followed that feeder lot behind the abandoned strip mall, edges of the most inner of the outer lots. The winds come from every direction. Yeah, and we eyeball it here. We try to take the straightest, most direct route, unless of course there are distractions, and there are always distractions. You can see them clearly for once now. You can see them because they're walking. If you're driving, you can't see a damn thing. No siree. You never could. I always hated that about cars. I'm going too fast, but you see, everything pushing a sharpened car. And to push a sharpened car, you've got to walk. Well, once I tried not walking. Tried to ride in the cart. Got my butt stuck. Took 3 days of wiggling to get myself out. Neither me nor Cart 437 ever mentioned that incident again. I walked. She rolled. Walking's not a bad thing. Walking solves problems. I never started a problem by taking a walk, and I remember I say to Betty, something's bugging me. I'm agitated. I don't know what it is. And she'd say to me, why don't you take a walk around the block and see what you come up with? Well, I'd take a walk around the block, and I'd come back, and she'd ask, did you solve your problem? And I say, well, I can't remember what my problem was. Problem solved, she said. Oh, Betty was, I don't know, everything. Of course, we're not the only ones walking around the lot. There is some other people, well, there's lots of other people walking around the lot. Most of them aren't getting anywhere. They're looking for their cars. Of course they are. The real question is, are their cars looking for them? Well, I found a bank out here once, in savings and loan. I thought it'd be funny and go in and ask them for a change for 2 10s for a 5, and a joke. Instead they gave me a loan. Yeah, a loan. It was $1 trillion. I said, is the $1 trillion a lot? And sometimes yes, he says, sometimes no. Well, he looked an awful lot like the brother-in-law of that guy, Dale, that manager. Well, anyway, I asked him, do I have to pay it back? And he said, well, most don't. Well, I thought it was good thing to have a little extra running around money, so. Oh, and a woman. She walks by pushing a baby carriage, a little old bouncing baby buggy style to black with a hood over the top. And I called out, "You looking for your car?" She calls back, "No, lost it in the divorce." I ask, "Anything I can do?" And she says, "No, you men have done enough already." She walks right on. You know, there's a museum out here, the Museum of Technological and Human Indiscretions. It's in a 1969 Winnebago recreational vehicle, you know, diesel with the optional canopy. Admission is free, but Steve's the driver, the curator. He strongly recommends a $15 donation at the door. But I say, "What is this, the big city?" I'll give him $20. Shoot, I got a trillion of them, who cares? And I say, "You keep the change." Steve eyes the museum's hand-cranked antique national cash register, and then he stuffs the bill right in his shirt pocket. Ching, ching. Well, mainly, I come to the museum to visit the permanent collection. In a locked 5-foot long, dimly lit glass case, right there by the fire extinguisher, is the longest pubic hair known to man. 14 foot 6.5 inches. Folds back and forth 3 times. Well, you can't help but stare at it, you know. Couldn't help it. You could say you wouldn't, but you would. 14 and 6.5 feet long. Whew. Now that museum's got the usual giant ball of string. Every decent museum's got one. Reputed to be the world's 20th largest. Yeah, ain't bad for a Winnebago, you know what I mean? Largest giant ball of string, of course, I think is owned by a Russian oligarch who moved it to Minsk. Minsk needs string. Well, finally, in the firearms and appliance wing, well, there's a mint condition 1947 Whirlpool wringer washing machine that took 5 blasts from a 12-gauge shotgun, never missed a rinse cycle. That's American ingenuity at its best. Well, I should tell Steve he's got a pair of shorts still in there. Instead, see, he comes to me and he says, "Storm's coming." Well, I wander back out into the sunlight, what's left of it, and lean on car 437, and she starts to roll. The light isn't exactly light out here anymore, it's diffused. There is a storm coming. It's a plastic storm. Plastic jugs and plastic bags float on the wind like ghosts. The stuff collects and clings, and sometimes you just have to wade into a wave of the stuff hip high, shoulder high. The plastic washes around you like standing on a high surf. There are places on the lot where the plastic is accumulated deep enough and thick enough that it affects the moon. I hear a baby crying. The plastic is swirling and crackling and popping. Of course it's popping. The popping sound is the sound of bubble wrap popping. But there's definitely a baby crying out there. "Oh, you again. The young woman, you again." And I say, "Hop on here." And she says, "I don't need your help." And I say, "Your little baby buggy can take the wind." Can't do it. I'm set up for it. I got a big sheet of plastic. You gotta fight plastic with plastic. We'll sail away. We'll run with the storm. I mentioned that I got ballast, but I don't mention that the ballast is a case of beer and $1 trillion. Plastic wind shakes the ground. The woman says, "Oh, what the hell?" And she hands me the baby, and we struggle, as one always does, with a baby to get his little legs and to fold up shopping cart seat, and the little woman smiled, like she wants to be reassured. She lets go, and she's gone. She's taken by the wind. And at the same moment, our sails are filled. Cart 437 cocks around, takes off faster than I've ever seen her roll. We sailed for 10 days. We spun like Dorothy. We avoided whatever whales there were, and we could avoid. I swear we bumped down a long, wide flight of stairs. Well, finally that wind died down. We've been deposited here on the edge of a shallow, rippling pool of water. A couple of ducks quacking. It's their puddle, they say. There's a big box store over there. Looks familiar. It's the Mart. It's my Mart. We come full circle after all this time. The little baby giggles. Well, we aim for the entrance. We can't help it. We're swept toward it. Everybody's headed for the entrance, pushing carts, pushing carriages, riding electric scooters. We're all going for the same door. Must be a sale. Maybe it's just Saturday. I can feel the cart wrangler and me keeping an eye out for strays. About time, the baby's mother says, she's leaning up on a B-tail-A 1984 Ford F-150 pickup truck, and she says, about time. And I say, trade in your baby buggy for that? Renegotiated the divorce settlement, she said. Suddenly she wells up in tears. Oh, thank you for saving my baby. And I say, well, it's nothing. It's what we do. It's what a wrangler and his cart are made for. Can't help but help. I got to get to work, she says, and she grabs the baby bag, the baby bottle, the fold-up baby stroller, the baby snacks, and the stuffed big bear. I don't know how she stuffed all that stuff in cart 437. Well, she digs down one more time, she grabs a beer, and accidentally takes along a good portion of that $1 trillion. They hop in that truck and they're gone. Well, you know, she can have the trillion. I probably should have said something. Probably should have warned her about what happens when you get $1 trillion. Ain't pretty. When you got $1 trillion, you have to hang out with other people who have $1 trillion. Give me the willies just to think about it. Well, Marge, the greeter, she doesn't look a day over 90, bless her heart. She looks me up and down and says, that was one hell of a long smoke break. Tries to hand me a page of stickers. But I take a peek over my shoulder, and you know, cart 437, already dreaming of being a silhouette on a little ridge facing west, toward east and about a quarter mile out. I'll be right back, I say. I don't mean it. I can't go in. I can't work inside there. I know my place. I'm a cart wrangler. And there's a cart that's calling me. We've gone down aisle 9, out the emergency-only loading dock door, and circumnavigated the great parking lot once. We can do it again. The latest research says that the great parking lot is like the universe, and like the universe, it is forever expanding. Well, that may be. But my feeling is that infinity doesn't go nearly as far as it used to. We'll see about that. We'll see what's in a few more of the scratchy corners of the world, and we'll see you. We'll see you down the road, okay? Me and cart 437.
was the Cart Wrangler. In the old Cart Wrangler saga by Brian Price. With Julia Throw on guitar, Patrick Conway on percussion, the left Reverend Dwight Frizzell on saxophone, and Tony Brewer with the live shopping cart friendly sound effects.
Yeah!
Loose Wheels and Narrow Neck CDs are starring David Osmond are available in the back. And there will be a very short intermission, and if you will please stick around, then we will welcome back to the microphones Tony Brewer and myself, Richard Fish, for the second half of our show. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, this is the Indiana contingent here. And we are about to do something we have never done before.
Exactly. Only around my kitchen table.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And never with a full band.
And never with a full band. Completely unrehearsed for your listening and dining and dancing pleasure. Okay. This, what's never been done before is that we have never rapped.
I've rapped.
You've rapped, but we have
Usually
never
around Christmas, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what we're starting with.
Try the veal. What are the facts? What are the facts? Again and again and again and again. What are the facts?
You gotta live your life in the rest of the future.
You can't go back. All you got is now.
But you gotta live the rest of your life in the future.
And the only GPS that can show you how
The only road signs you can see when you need them
are the facts.
Get the facts.
What are the facts? What are the facts? Again and again and again and again. What are the facts?
Fuck wishful thinking, it's lazy and stinking dumb.
Oh, chum. To hell with all divine revelation.
Cause it always gets damn well lost in translation.
What the stars foretell is bullshit. Believe it.
And crystal balls got a phallus with a phallus.
Let it poison your mind like a chalice from the palace. What are the facts? What are the facts? Again and again and again and again. What are the facts?
Find them yourself for your own sweepstake.
Check out the news. You decide what's fake.
Avoid the pig, shut your ears, don't swallow.
Mental vomit from a mouth who just wants to follow.
And don't give a shit what the neighbors think.
Don't go dancing to somebody else's king.
Never mind.
Don't waste your time
Trying to find
the unguessable,
changeable
wrongable.
verdict of history. It's a mystery.
What are the facts? What are the facts? And just to exactly how many decimal places?
Look at all those faces.
What are the facts? What are the facts?
Again and again and again and again.
What are the facts?
Let a nail down or I'll nail you down.
Every day, every night, every second, every year.
When you're smoking a blunt or drinking a beer,
You pilot yourself into an unknown future.
facts are the only clue that's true.
And the only clue out there is for you. What are the facts? What are the facts? Again and again and again and again. That was, I will point out, that was written by Richard Fish. And that was, it says here, inspired by a quotation from Robert Heinlein.
Suddenly realize that Jay-Z and Heinlein are actually in the same voice, you know what I mean?
Right.
Heinlein's from KC.
So I'm going to try this for you. This is a spoken word piece. I actually did this last year at the Here Now Audio Fiction and Arts Festival. So we'll give this a shot. This is called Spark. The human body is capable of amazing feats when faced with unrelenting stress and anxiety. It can lift a car off a baby or put a bullet in the brain, should the situation arise. And even realize when a house grown up in is no longer a home, and toys once played with were never just toys, and it was never just playing. My wrist is a lever of love ending in a fist of bone, and I hold on like grim death. My heart is a filter that intakes the sour atmosphere my lungs inhale, turns it into blood or bile or sinews wrapped around the red ribbon in my loose muscles to shield what's left of the egg I came from. I was there only once, and it was night, and I wasn't driving, so let's see if I can tell you how to get back. My mouth is a trap, my tongue the bait, and at the center of it all are atoms, screaming in orbits, praying to their sullen gods. They never split apart. My legs are twin battering rams, sparking butterfly tsunamis with each hard soul stride, and the trees I hug are splinters in the skin of the earth, slowly sloughing off this little flake. But a gun is an extension of the fist. Just squeeze and a punch explodes. It's okay if it's only a target. The human soul contains a lifetime and just a moment more until the vessel drains and refills, drains and refills, drains and refills, drains and refills, and spills over into other cups and pants and jar heads, and so lives on. Ever pumping out the rhythm of a toy drum tattoo, never as regular as we'd hoped, or as easy as a march, and never the home it seems until I'm nearly out the door. My face ends where air begins, and the tension at that last border is a breath and a snort and a kiss, and at its end, a tame body wrapped in accumulation, like an egg within its shell. But the human existence is no trap, and not nearly as structured as a game, and so becomes a catalog of sleep, where the waking mind calls body into being with mechanics, while my weariness strikes hard and deep. And I do grow tired, my friends, my lovers, of these movements, of combinations of spiritual permutations and visions, of my sleeping mind still attached to a lizard brain at base of neck, who constantly calls the quarters as if a seance were in effect. And then the table rises and knocks, and I lose the ticking of all clocks, but I never can quite tell where all the noise is coming from. Thank you.
Thank you. So Tony wrote that, and both Tony and I have been told numerous times by people we respect that we're writers, and we're silly enough to believe them. So I have written a little story, which Tony will illustrate with some sound effects here.
Sleeves totally roll. Here, I'll take my watch off.
Right. Nothing up your sleeves, right? No sleeves. All right.
Right.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't even look at it, because it'll just throw me off.
All right. Once upon a time, there was a porridge bird. It came from the French city of La Scalplume de Tantric.
Oh, easy for you to say.
Everyone knew it as Nancy.
What?
The porridge bird flew high over a sun-baked desert and laid an egg in the air. It landed on a very hot rock, sunny side up. The bird flew on and on and on until finally she reached the ocean and laid another egg in the air. It landed in the water, sploosh, and floated. A school of saltwater snook, which the Hawaiians call Humuhumanukunukuapua'a, saw it up there on top of the water and thought it might be a high school.
Hey, you know, that might be a high school.
They all swam up looking for more science, but everything they knew was wrong and they were disappointed.
Aww.
The Hawaiians know that if you just use a little honey, they're in everybody's eggs. Now, Humuhumanukunukuapua'a, although they are tiny, brightly colored school fish, covered with tattoos and piercings, have the longest name of any fish in the ocean. This enraged a barracuda from Communist Martyrs High School, who thought they were a bunch of snooty liberals holding an election,
Oh, I said it.
and he attacked them. The Humuhumanukunukuapua'a quickly scattered, and the barracuda was only able to catch just one by the very last syllable. As it happens, the barracuda was British,
Oh, I said it.
and having had his kipper, felt it was only fitting that now he should eat the egg.
Oh, I should do it.
So he gulped it down, but it wasn't fitting very well. It made such a big lump in his stomach that he didn't notice a 27-foot-long great white shark coming up behind him. And although he tried to be in two places at once, the shark gulped down the barracuda, and then he wasn't anywhere at all. This gave the shark a stomachache, and that put him in a really bad mood. Just then, along came some poor schmuck in a little motorboat,
Hello.
and the shark, being really pissed off, attacked the man's boat.
Oh, my leg.
The shark bit off his propeller, bit off his rudder, bit off his stern, and then took his bow. The poor schmuck, now that's not the end yet, now wait,
At least quarter of a page.
The poor schmuck figured that he was not long for the next world and knew he was on his own. But he had some police treats with him, one of which was a satchel-to-page charge of dynamite. He stuffed it into a 55-gallon drum, then he shook up a can of black spray paint and tagged it with the words Loosener's Castor Oil Flakes on one side and Peter Benchley on the other. Of course, no self-respecting shark could resist that, and sure enough, the great white shark with the greedy, beady eyes of a studio accountant spotted the drum, yelled, yeah, see, I give him some lines.
Whoa, wow, wowee.
Yes, no, yelled, sequel, and tried to swallow it. That's when the man in the boat lit up a fantastic cigarette, stuffed it into a blowgun, took aim at the drum, and blew. The drum exploded, blowing the great white shark and the barracuda into sashimi, and blowing the porridge bird egg way, way, way high up into the air, where it became caught in the wheel well of a passing jetliner going to Kealakekua, Hawaii. When the jetliner lowered its wheels to land, the egg fell out, bounced off the roof of a little grass shack, and fell into the top of a palm tree, freaking out the tropical bird who lived there. The very next day, the nearby volcano erupted. As the hot lava moved closer and closer to the palm tree, it incubated the porridge bird egg. At the very last moment, just as the palm tree was about to fall over and be burned up by the lava, the egg hatched. The porridge bird chick looked at the approaching lava, realized he was too young to smoke, and quickly flew away. He built a nest on Maui, ate some growth clusters, washed them down with a Bear Whiz beer, and started taking hula lessons. The people on Maui said, "Wowee!" and "Far out, man." Everyone wanted to give the bird to President T-Rump, but he thought it was a cabinet member and declared it a Nick endangered species. So now you know why the porridge bird lays its egg in the air. Because it's stupid!
All right, the band is going to favor us with a tune. I am going to provide a bit of narration to start us off.
Finds the nation's capital in shock. The event responsible, the launching of Sputnik 1, the first Earth-circling proto-arcade and pirate radio station hurled skyward by the hammer and sickle solid fuel heads with red megabucks backing their sci-fi schemes. Sad-eyed, earthbound bigwigs in Washington are searching the skies for solutions to their #1 dilemma, the satellite gap. How soon can the U.S. get one up? How long can we keep it up? And what jive will be coming down when it is up? All these questions are being asked on street corners and in the Senate chambers. The general reaction to Sputnik 1 in Boston seems to be massive indifference. But here in Milwaukee, increased violence among citizens inflamed by disagreements over Sputnik's precise trajectory and cruel critiques about a possible meaning of Sputnik's ceaseless beeping have closed down a number of local Milwaukee night spots, serving a concoction called the Sputnik Cocktail, created from 1/3 Moscow White Lightning and 2/3 sour grapes. The dog days arrived a bit late in 1957, November in fact. The reason, resting firmly on the shaggy shoulders of that likable rusky mutt named charmingly enough, Laika. And America likes her a lot. Her 1,100-pound craft kept her aloft for a week, at which time Laika presumably ran out of oxygen, burned up in the atmosphere, or this third possible space dog scenario suggested very recently by parapsychic researchers sifting through a mass of Sputnik hush-hush material liberated via the Freedom of Information Act. A craft-to-craft evacuation of the hapless space dog, initiated by direct intervention of alien intelligence, possibly from the Syrian binary star system, and the transporting of Laika to the home planet ruled by techno-dog sophistites, with long muzzles, droopy ears, and fur coats. Here she was crowned, held court, and dispensed wisdom, aided by cyber implants that enabled her to communicate easily with her newfound subjects. Some tantalizing documentation exists to support this theory, and more is turning up daily as researchers comb through and collate illuminating passages from the reams of freed-up data. We're all amazed to learn that Sputnik 2 carried the first living thing into outer space. As a passenger in a special chamber built into the satellite frame was Laika, a curly-haired dog who had been specially trained for this flight. There's no way to do away with gravity on the surface of the Earth, but in a satellite that is spinning in an orbit where its gravitational pull is equalized by centrifugal force, Laika, as as well as all other parts of the satellite, would be weightless. Imagine living under the conditions in which if you turned over a glass of water, it wouldn't run out. Or if you lifted your hand to scratch your ear, you would be likely to box it severely. Now, of course, the Russian scientists wanted to find out as much as they could about what happened to Laika up there in the satellite. They had the chamber equipped with the necessary food and oxygen to keep Laika alive. But they wanted to find out what happened to the circulation, for example. So they attached a small, special microphone near Laika's heart and connected the microphone to an amplifier. That was then connected to one of the transmitters that was located in the satellite. On November 6th, after Laika had been up there for 3 days, all seemed to be going well, and her heartbeat sounded like this. And the next day, it sounded like this. Perfectly peaceful and seeming at rest. Then one night, when we were listening for the signal from Sputnik 2, an amusing thing happened. There, right on the frequency of the satellite, was a weak, plaintive signal, sending from somewhere far away in Morse code. And when we translated, we found it was saying, "Bow wow."
will be. No one can see it's on. He's right there.
There it is. All right. Yes, indeed. Our own Brian Price, not content with his triumph in the old cart wrangler, has another thought that he would like to share, and this is it. Now, I can see that you are an inquisitive soul. I can tell. It's in your nature. You've been doing some serious thinking. You're willing to ask the tough questions. You can't help yourself. I hear things. I know you've been asking around. Just exactly what are bridge abutments for? It's a good question. It's pithy and to the point. And I'll give you the answer, but it's not as simple as it seems. Now, we both know that we can ignore and toss out the pedestrian and obvious civil engineering company line claptrap. Who cares what's supporting what? I mean, come on. Bridge abutments are much more than a loosely affiliated pile of bricks and reinforced concrete. I mean, come on. Here's the real deal. Those rising towers are nothing more and nothing less than canvases for tortured and lonely souls who are trying to communicate with a harsh and beguiling world. So when you see, as I have, the message, Doug loves Judy, spray painted in large black and sure letters, 25, 35, 55 feet above the ground, you'll know that you are witnessing more than a simple declarative sentence, more than a mere memorandum of puppy love. You are witnessing art, art of the most exalted and highest nature. It's always been thus. Every civilization, every piddly primitive tribe, every book club, and every other contracted social situation in between have had one important aspect in common. They've always had some kind of municipal buildings and public structures on which to express themselves. Take the classical Greeks. Right up there on the top tier of the Parthenon was spray painted in large as life, huge, iridescent pink letters, Paris loves Helen. A little overwrought, perhaps, but soul-searing, nonetheless. And what about ancient Rome? Well, I can tell you for sure that at one time, Tony Loves Cleo was delicately scrawled all over every marvelously engineered aqueduct from the Pyrenees to the Dead Sea. It's a fact. And if you peer back even further into the mists of time, you'll find Ugh, Zug Zug Irma, carefully etched on a load-bearing wall of some damp and Paleolithic cave just outside some ancient vineyard in the south of France. But you have to ask now, you have to ask, are those towering, heartfelt words more than just paint on concrete? Well, yes. Are they impassioned? Yes, they are. Do they lend insight into the world around us? Obviously, yes. Without a doubt. But, are the words true? One can only hope. One can only hope that those mad, lost visionaries with spray cans in their hands didn't crawl out on the slippery, wind-torn underbellies of some aqueduct or railroad trestle just for advertising. No, you have to believe that when somebody screams out that they love somebody and they spell it out on a bridge, it's got to be God's honest truth. Of course, not all art is as bold and as assured as these messages of love. No, some of the writings show an anger and a passion and a shouting out against social injustice and moral bankruptcy, heretofore unknown in the world of graphic representation. just on the other side of the bridge abutment that reads, "Doug loves Judy," are the wild and sneering words, "Central High sucks." Again, there's no doubt that we are witnessing a vaunted form of self-expression. There is no doubt about the honorable artistic intent. But are those 3 words the naked, verifiable truth? I decided to get the facts. To find out, I drove by Central High itself. Took
And yes, it's
15, 20 minutes to find a parking spot. I walked in and walked down the long, forbidding halls, got shouldered against a locker, got called names, got my notebook slapped out of my hands, got smacked in the back of the head with a dripping spitball. I ducked for cover into the school cafeteria, took a sniff, shuddered, swayed, and decided to forego lunch. I retreated. But just as I was about to make my way out the door, an icy voice from behind called, "Where do you think you're going, young man?" And I said, "Nowhere in particular. I'm headed downtown to do a few things that need to be done before I head home to watch a bit of court TV and then a little local news. I like the parts about the weather." And the voice said, "Not so fast." Little did I know, but I had been cornered and captured. I was about to be interrogated by that most infamous and diabolical of all the assistant principals known to the Western world, Mrs. Bitencruncher. We went back to her office. I asked if she could leave the door ajar. I offered alibis. I offered incentives. I pleaded my case from my knees. I broke down. I cried. We both cried. We discussed art. Anyway, the upshot is, I had to finish my lunch and was kept after class and forced to miss the big pep rally. I love pep rallies. So, to answer the question, does Central High suck?
Yes.
Yes, it does. And what to do about it is simple. Go to the game. Sit with Doug and Judy and root for the other team.
Fantastic. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Brian. In the vein of love, here's a love poem for you that I wrote for the 17-year cicada, 2 broods that came out in 2004. It actually emerged from the ground simultaneously. So there were so many of them, overwhelmed with love. The atmosphere was thick with love. So this is a poem for the, it's called Cicada Blues, chorus 10 and 17. Ooh, love you, baby. Ooh, love you, baby. Ooh, love you, baby. I will come back for you, baby. Maybe 17 years from tonight, but I will come for you. Up from the ground through a hole this big, and I'll crawl. I'll crawl across the lawn, baby. Drag my freshly hatched ass over sidewalks and quiet city streets, just to get you to come to me. I'll climb the most convenient tree I find and shed this hard, crusty exterior and back out of my pupal state. And when I'm dry and strong enough and I unfurl my clear wings, I will call to you, 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 call to you. And I hope you'll hear me. Among the million brothers in this humble acre alone, vying for your attention and that you'll come to me. Come to me now, baby. Please don't make my soul wait in the cold ground another 17 long years. Come land on my beach branch and we'll make sweet butt-to-butt love. Place our progeny within the spent sapling soiled pulp under a heavy haze of June on a long-lost Indiana afternoon. And then, together, we'll die. Ooh, love to love you, baby. Ooh, love to love you, baby. Thank you. I think this is our last one.
Yes. We need a little help from the bar for this one, I think. Have you got
I got something that's in a can, but hey, you know.
Well, yes, we could. You don't have any mugs over there, do you?
No, we're good. It's fine.
All right,
Can's
we
fine.
can do
Can's
it with
good.
this. All right.
It's still wet inside.
Because this is called
And
toast.
feel free to join in. Feel free to hoist right along with us.
Yes.
Make sure you designate a driver first, because it's about 3 pages. So
Yes, you will need a desiccated driver by the time we're done here.
Desiccated?
Desiccated driver, yes.
here's to years of living beyond my means, to those means and to those ends, and to the end of years of being so goddamn mean. Cheers.
Cheers. To the lack of self-care, the preservation and celebration of bad habits and neuroses hardened into mental illness. Oh, salud!
To envy, slut, badger, and 37 other mortal sins.
Hubris,
Chicanery,
bamboozlement,
stubbornness,
excessive grooming,
pith.
clink,
Clink, clink, down the hatch.
to maudlin ennui and the need for trauma to justify emotion.
To the great American scapegoat, the family. Here's to you.
Designated driver.
To warning signs.
Fuck 'em. To ignoring everything you know. Yeah, let's get stupid together. Just you and me and whoever else we can pack in.
Whoever else can hold a glass or pour.
All one big sloppy blurry mess. All for one and none for you. Hey. Here's the holes what need plugging.
Stomach acids or a whistling about the ears.
Over the liver and across the tongue. Here's to trying whatever might work.
Here's to desperation and to faith.
And here's to my old pal Yoda. Yoda, 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 smells like Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Who once said there is no try, only do or do not.
Yeah, right on, man.
Chin chin.
To intervention, the staff of life.
To the well-heeled pop psychologist.
To junk science.
Radio divination.
Newspaper astrology.
Muppet wisdom. To the slippery slope of belief.
Which is not a crime, by the way, to believe in something and to hold it dear. To
crime.
May it always separate us bad guys from you goody-goody two-shoe right thing doers.
Bottoms up. To the basis for comparison and knowing when to whip it out.
To hovering like an old hen ready to peck out your eyes.
To the confusion of love.
Or was that the love of confusion?
To being well laid. I'll drink to that.
Yeah. To the bastard who said it shouldn't be done, I say, ha! It couldn't!
Skull! Here's to a steady stream of information, not a dribble or a drop on either side of the seat. Yay me!
Here's to the cessation of suffering. No joke.
Here's to putting it all on the line and waiting for an audience response.
To quiet repose. And to belligerent outbursts. May you know the difference.
And please, dear God, don't keep the rest of us in suspense.
To your health.
May the ground rise to meet you when you fall.
May the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
And may you never have children.
And may your corpse be disposed of properly and within all state and federal regulations. Even if you don't want to be embalmed, but rather simply left under a tree to rot.
And let's hope your family doesn't snatch the body first and suck out your contents through a tube and lock you in a box and bury the corner of a field for 1,000 years. If you want to be cremated,
be
cremated.
cremated. And may your friends walk right up and say hi.
While your enemies walk with a limp, because they deserve it.
And may the sun always set where you can enjoy it.
And may it rise as late as you need to survive.
And if long life seems to you a curse,
May you always be prepared for what you want.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thanks to Brian and thanks to David Osmond. The whole band. Thanks to the Brick for having us. The whole band. Dwight Frizzell, Julia Crow, Pat Conway. Wow. Osmond.